Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with your latest video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post, or otherwise you can give me a thumbs up or look me up on my website, which is www.garethcahoon.co.uk. I'll wait a few minutes for the lives to come on, for the chat group to come on and get sorted. So I'll also tell you a way that you can help me produce more content like this, and it is by PayPal, garethcahoon3@gmail.com. So that's one way to be able to support my ministry. The first one is little known affordable IVF alternative offers hope to couples struggling with infertility. With approximately 10% of all couples nationwide struggling with infertility, some are taking advantage of a little-known branch of medicine called restorative reproductive medicine. It seeks to identify the underlying causes and treat them, as opposed to using the popular option of in vitro fertilization to have a child. Karen and Anthony Mondetti are one such couple. After 9 years of marriage, they felt the Lord leading them to have a baby. Put it in God's hands. Anthony told CBN News, "Put it in God's hands and let go," Karen echoed, "and we got pregnant pretty fast." 4 heartbreaking marriages. Unfortunately, the couple experienced a miscarriage and then 3 more after that. "Nothing is hurt, and I've never grieved so much as the infertility journey," Karen lamented. "But one thing I want to say is there's hope." Like many couples struggling to have a child, Karen, then age 41, and Anthony were advised to try in vitro fertilization. However, the couple refused. My hematologist said, "I really want you to go through IVF. You're older, you don't want to run the risk of any genetic defects," Karen recalled. "And my husband and I flat out said, we're not doing it. This is all in God's hands. He will take care of us." The primary reason the couple decided against IVF is because this procedure often involves creating embryos that go unused. "I didn't want to have multiple eggs that were conceived, yet sitting there frozen," Karen said. "I could not bring myself to that, knowing that there was a life there that was not inside of me, and I was not birthing an IVF alternative." Instead, Karen and Anthony heard about an IVF alternative called restorative reproductive medicine. and to decide to give it a try. Restorative reductive medicine, or RRM, is natural historical approach to infertility. Instead of performing a procedure that goes around the problem, RRM doctors seem to find the root cause, then fix it. Karen and Anthony visited Star Family Health Clinic, an RIM clinic run by Edward Fleming, MD, CFCMO, and Jane Golding, Tibad, DO, CFCMC, FCR, IFMCP. The amazing thing is, in 20 years of doing this, I have never had a woman who we evaluated that we came up and said we can't find anything wrong. Dr. Goodwin Treved told CBN News there's always hope. Hello everybody that's on the site today. What's happening?
Nice contract for you to give up. So anyway. Can you see it more fun?
Yeah, okay. Go on to the next news then. Paul Petit has been on assignment from coast to coast for CBN News this year in the US, but his current assignment with us in Israel marked the first visit to the Holy Land this week. In a Jerusalem park, we talked with Petit to get his impression of the news cycles and on the land and on the people. To watch our interview, go to CBN News Live. Gina Carano credits God's grace after major settlement with Disney over Mandalorian firing. The force must be with Gina Carano. Lucasfilms and Walt Disney Company settled with the former Mandalorian star who sued the two studios last year after she was fired in 2021 because she dared voice her own opinion on conservative views on social media. I hope this brings some healing to the force, Carano wrote in a statement posted to X, going on to thank entrepreneur Elon Musk for funding her for wrongful termination lawsuit against the entertainment giant. More than that, the ex-Disney star is pointing to the Lord and His grace for the outcome of her lawsuit, writing she is humble and grateful to God for His love and grace and this outcome. I'm excited To flip the page and move on to the next chapter, she added, "My desires remain in the arts, which is where I hope you will join me." The 53-year-old celebrity who played the character Kenna June on the Star Wars spin-off series used her social media platforms to express her conservative ideals, speaking out against COVID-related lockdowns, Black Lives Matter riots and transgender ideology. Disney ultimately ousted Carano in a statement recently released. At the time, the company accused her of denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities. The former MMA star was also dropped by her casting company UTA. Hello, June Gambo. This is the Republican base that supports Israel. Palestinians. Hello, Palestinian. The next news is, amid sharp increase in cannabis poisonings, Trump admin could soon reclassify marijuana. President Trump said Monday he is considering downgrading marijuana from a Schedule 1 drug, the most dangerous kind, alongside heroin and LSD, to a Schedule 3 drug, and would make the decision over the next few weeks. Reducing marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug means cannabis businesses will enjoy a reduced tax burden and greater access to banking. It would also expand research opportunities into marijuana's medicinal potential. The president says that determination hopefully will be the right one. It is a very complicated subject. Meanwhile, anti-marijuana groups are petitioning the president and asking regular citizens to join the effort. President Trump told reporters at the White House briefing that he sees both sides of the issue. Some people like it, some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because it does bad for the children. It does bad for the people that are older than children. He said, I've heard great things having to do with medicinal, and I've heard bad things having to do with just about everything else. But medicinal, for pain and various things. I've heard some pretty good things, but for the other things I've heard are some pretty bad things. Last year on Truth Social, President Trump appeared to support reclassification, or by posting his administration will focus on research to unlock the medical uses of marijuana to Schedule 3 drug, and support safe banking for state authorized companies and states' rights to pass marijuana laws. Marijuana is legal in 40 states. For medicinal use and 24 states for recreational use. That easy accessibility, coupled with high THC content, which makes today's pot more potent than in years past, has led to a sharp increase in cannabis poisonings. So that's bad, people. I just know that it's really bad, cannabis, because I've seen family members go down with it, and it's just not a great thing, and I wouldn't do it myself because I want my mind to be clear and functioning, just like the Word of God says we have to be living and active and sharper than a double-edged sword sometimes. Next one. I wanted you dead. Woman's new age encounter with demons was terrifying, but then Jesus showed up. A woman who escaped the dark world of New Age spirituality is sharing about how Jesus set her free from a life of oppressive encounters with evil forces. Priscilla Blanchard recently told the No Longer Nomads podcast about her journey, starting with a confusing childhood involving abuse, spiraling deep in New Age, revealing just how easy the enemy of our souls can dress up a deception to make it look like light. While she was looking for truth, she was misled by authorities at several points in her life. One moment came during her service with a federal agency called AmeriCorps, working for a social justice program, when her leaders encouraged participants to explore all religions as paths to God. Not long after that, an old boss referred to her to a life coaching program that turned out to be a brainwashing pathway into New Age deception. That's life coaching program even included an unsettling ritual that she now describes as satanic, involving leaders dressed in black hoisting the trainees who into the air in the shape of a cross. She now says the principle she was taught was very similar to the universe style spiritual teachings of Oprah Winfrey, Deepak Chopra, and other famous programs. She was taught to manifest the life, meditation, and mindfulness that are being mainstreamed these days into pop culture. That was really just the beginning of her downward spiral. It felt like truth. Priscilla now says, but it was a trap. Before long, she went all in on energy work, layer after layer of spiritual practice that seemed harmless at first, but kept pulling into her darker place. But what looked like light turned out to be a careful crafted trap. At the lower point, Jesus began breaking through the darkness, which he says Satan didn't go without a fight. When Priscilla finally saw that her whole world had become a spider web of lies, the spiritual battle turned very real. One night a demon spoke through her roommate's voice and snarled, "I wanted you dead." Grief and occulted freedom. But before she got to that point, she had been travelling deeper and deeper into New Age, not realizing she was losing herself and embracing concepts like twin souls and past life readings, things that felt beautiful and cosmic, had opened doors to something far darker. When her boyfriend, who was believed was her twin soul, tragically died while travelling abroad, grief drove her deeper into darkness. She turned to necromancy, trying to contact him. That's when things spiraled fast. She couldn't sleep. She felt haunted, heavy, tormented. Looking back, and she said it was like Satan had locked her inside her own body and was using her freely to his purposes. But even in the thick of that darkness, God was moving. Eventually, in a hospital room, Jesus started to break through. Everything started to shift. She started devouring the Bible for hours a day. Peace replaced torment. The fog in her mind cleared. Now she's telling everyone. Today Priscilla's mission is simply when warm the deceived and point them to the real Jesus. Sadly, many folks fall prey to New Age practices, assuming they're doing good things, but this is merely a trap set by the enemy to influence people, our culture, and ultimately to turn us away from the true light of Yeshua, Jesus. Hello everybody for coming on. If you'd like to give me a heart, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. If you liked the video, and hello Mary, hello Pastor Timmerin, hello Andrea Hornblower, hello Still Learning 55. In the battlefront of truth, Israel defenders challenge critics to survey the situation for themselves. Jerusalem, Israel. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told a reception on Wednesday night that Israel is fighting the historical battle for truth, and other powerful influencers are challenging Israel's critics to some see for themselves what is really happening in the ground in the Middle East. Netanyahu addressed a Newsmax reception in Jerusalem, telling attendees 7 fronts against Iran and its proxies, the 8th front, the battle for truth. The Prime Minister said Israel is being accused of on 2 fronts. The first front is the actual battle zones. We have sent millions and millions of text messages, phone calls. This will never happened before in a war, that an army that is fighting terrorists in an urban environment calls on the civilians in enemy territory to leave, and the enemy shoots them if they try to leave, and when Israel is blamed for genocide. That's ridiculous. It's a blatant falsehood, Netanyahu declared. The second is the accusation that Israel is starving the people of Gaza. He asserted, if we have had a starvation policy now, nearly 2 years after the beginning of the war, everybody in Gaza would be dead. But they're not, because that's not our policy. Our policy is the exact opposite. We sent in 2 million tons, 1.9 million tons of food, medical aid into Gaza. The Ballard, the man that the movie The Sound of Freedom is based on, came to the region to help the Druze and Christians inside Syria who are suffering a genocide at the hands of Islamists. He told CBN News, and here's the shock. I thought we were the tip of the spear. Right? I was wrong. We were not. I was shocked and tearful shocked to find out that the IDF has been out there without cameras, without fanfare. He added, they've been out there rescuing the Christians and the Druze, and I'm talking like major efforts. I'm like, who are you guys? Ballard insists that it is not the story being told in the West because Tucker Carlson and my friend Candace Owen and everyone else is saying of Israel, you're a land-grabbing pedophile, you know, predatory bad guys. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the people who are really doing this for, I don't see much geopolitical strategy in what they're doing. They don't want anyone to know. They're just helping people who are dying and bleeding and being raped and sent to sex markets. And I just felt the Spirit of God, just like they got them wrong. The West has them wrong. Yes, thank you for Free Palestine. I do agree that Palestine should be free from Hamas. So thank you, Evan, for those comments. Ballard is calling on his friends Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens to come to Israel and see things for themselves. If you will talk about Israel, Tucker and Candace, come to Israel. I'll come with you. I love them. Candace has supported her rescue efforts for years. She donated so much money. Love Candace Owens. I love her and I don't understand just what to say. Well, you just be open enough to come. I will come with Candace. I will come with Tucker. I will come, I will take them across the border, I will show them the, from the kid, show them the kids, I will walk them into Gaza. Netanyahu says the fact that lies have consequences is proven through history. I think the battle for truth has historical, tragic, antecedents. My father was a great historian of the Jewish people and the great historian of the Jews and the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, every single massacre that the Jews suffered was preceded by a campaign of vilification and lies. And do you see the wee dove there at the side of me, or anybody else? The dove of peace, because Jerusalem is getting ready for 1,000 years of peace. And we will all recognize it when it comes. We have betrayed the land of Israel 20 years after Jews forced out of Gaza Strip. Most Israelis call pullout a mistake. Jerusalem, Israel. The war in Gaza has been at the top of the news cycle for nearly 2 years. However, 20 years ago this week, Israel expelled thousands of Israelis from thriving communities in Gaza and northern Samaria in a move that was supposed to bring peace. What happened since then is a much different outcome. In 2005, Israel's Prime Minister Ariel Sharon uprooted 21 Jewish communities in the Gaza Strip and 4 in Samaria of the northern West Bank, forcing 10,000 Israelis out of their homes. Known as the disengagement, it was a land concession that was billed as the next step to peace with the Palestinians under the auspices of the Palestinian Authority. Just 2 years later, the terror group Hamas took control of the Gaza Strip in a violent inter-Palestinian battle for control. In the ensuing years, Hamas and other terror groups have launched tens of thousands of rockets, carried out many suicide bombings, and dug numerous terror tunnels. The murder of nearly 1,200 Israelis in the October 7, 2023 crisis border attacks from the Gaza Strip is deemed the worst massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust. It has prompted many Israelis to call for a return to Gaza. Avi Bello from FullSurfaceIsrael.com told CBN News people actually don't know Gaza is Jewish. Jews have lived in Gaza on and off for thousands of years. Gaza is first mentioned in Genesis, and later Joshua 15 is named as part of the inheritance given to the biblical tribe of Judah. Abelio notes that even in the early 1900s, Jews were living in Gaza. Before Israel was established in the 1940s, there were Jewish communities in Gaza below, Abelio said. Unfortunately, the British, because they didn't want to defend the Jews, they basically expelled them. They said, run away, because we were being killed by the pogroms, by the Arab Muslims in the late 1920s and 1930s. From the 1948 establishment of Israel, until the 1967 Six-Day War. Gaza was under Egyptian control. Fellow Israelis' victory. Most of the 21 Jewish communities there were established in the 1970s and early 80s. The communities began to thrive over 30 years. Agriculture grew to a 60 billion per year industry, producing 15% of Israel's exported vegetables. Anita Tucker, nicknamed the celery lady, successfully farmed in her community of Netzer Honey for decades. 10 years ago, she told TBN Scott Ross about one of her first encounters with the Arabs there. She recalled one day we see it out of no place, comes like out of under the sand dunes, comes this Arab with his kifa and his long gilaba, his kifa and his long galabia, his long Arab robe. We see that they have bread and salt in their hands. In the Muslim tradition, Baruchim Habib, welcome, they said to us. We're so glad to have you here. Tucker remarked that the local Arabs were happy for their successes. They were happy with that blessing because it was work for the people, she said. We taught them the modern agriculture. She believes the relationship started to break down when the worlds began talking about peace. I say this must spell it out of the political night. Instead of writing peace, somebody by mistake wrote PICE, and they started tearing up to pieces and tearing the Arabs living in Gaza to pieces, Tucker stated. Yair Shoshan, an 18-year-old resident of the community of Gedid in 2005. We knew the minute we would leave the farms of Gush Katif, we knew we would pay a price. He remembered, we knew it could cost us in missiles and terror attacks and shootings. In the end, here's why we in the end, here we are closing the circle. The 9,000 Gaza residents of Gush Katif decided not to leave voluntarily. They felt they had settled the biblical land promised to Abraham, Isaac and Jacob with the blessing of the Israeli government. Until the end, they believed for a miracle. Shoshan recalled it was the saddest thing that the soldiers participated in this peace engagement. They evacuated us, they pulled us out, they took us out by force, and we thought it wouldn't happen until the last day. We were sure the gardeners were taking care of the gardens, and until the last day we were watering the grass, and we were certain it wouldn't happen. After more than 30 years of nourishing successful communities, it took just a week to obliterate the traces of the Jewish life on the sand dunes of Gaza. Amiki Chikli, Diaspora Affairs Minister in today's Netanyahu government, told us, I thought it was a terrible mistake to withdraw because it sends the wrong message to the enemy that you are going back under pressure that you are actually surrendering because you just don't want to fight. Shickley served in the Israeli Defense Forces. At the time, he asserted, I think the October 7th is a direct result of the disengagement, and I have one thing to say about it. We have betrayed the land of Israel in 2005, and the land did not forget and did not forgive. We should never abandon an inch of our soil in Judea and Samaria, Jerusalem, etc. 6 months before the disengagement, polls show nearly 2/3 of Israelis supported. Shickley observed many people who supported the disengagement in the villages nearby Gaza. They really thought that it would bring peace. Shickley believes it was a tough lesson to learn. A recent poll revealed that 76% of Israelis believe it was a mistake to pull out in the eyes of their enemy. Shickley says every Jew is a settler who doesn't belong here, whether in Gush Katif or Tel Aviv. So that's the news about Israel today. Okay, so I'll just say, praise God for Israel. May God's hand be upon them. Shalom Yerushalayim. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Shalom, Maranatha, and hallelujah.